Hi guys, welcome back to the Patty Martin Real Estate Group YouTube channel. My name is Adam Wachtel, and we're joined again with Patty for our June 2023 market update. How's it going,
Hi,
Patty?
Adam. Good. How's it going?
It's going well. The the trend now for the Vancouver housing market has the market shifted since the past month or the past couple months? What do you think, Patty? What's going on here? What are you seeing out there?
It's very subtle, but I do believe we're seeing a bit more inventory. Like there's more choice right now. But it's not necessarily what people want.
People being buyers or sellers?
People being buyers.
Yeah.
Like so the buyers are just like it depends. So we have like crazy 14 offers on one listing. Like, how did that happen in this market, right? 14 offers. It wasn't that incorrectly priced or anything. It just was so much in demand, and there just wasn't anything like it, I guess. And then we have a couple of fairly good listings and no offers.
Yeah,
So
it's really interesting. I think it really depends on your property type. Like that house there was a house in Richmond. A very, very cute house. And that price point below 2 million, we kind of saw the same buyers going from house to house to house that we had the past few weeks. So let's jump into some of the stats here, and we're going to go back to that story a little bit later. But sales in the region. So we're looking at Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. So sales in the region, we're at 2,988 in June 2023. This is a 21% increase from June 2022, but still low. It's still just under 9% below the 10-year average.
yeah. And it's funny, but by June of 2022, last year, we weren't this busy. We were busy more in the beginning of the year than now. And that's the reverse. This
Yeah,
year, we
so
weren't that busy. The market wasn't that busy January, February, but took off and has been crazy busy since.
yeah, it was buyers were starting to feel the pain of interest rate hikes in the hopes that prices would come down.
Right.
So they kind of backed off in June 2022. That hope never materialized. I mean, prices may have come down in certain segments, but here we are a year later, and prices have, for the most part, recovered.
Yes. And part of that's just because, again, still low inventory. That's the biggest theme in this market. It's just still low inventory.
Talking about inventory, so the homes newly listed for sale. So this isn't total inventory, homes newly listed for sale, detached and attached properties, condos, everything. 5,348 homes newly listed for sale. So this is 1.3% more homes listed than June 2022, but it is 5.5% lower than last month. So last month we have 5,661 listings, new listings. This month we have fewer people putting their home on the market.
So May of 2023, you mean?
Yeah,
As
May of
opposed
20.
to,
Yes. So if we
yeah.
look at last month, we're 5.5 below. So any particular reason that we're seeing the subtle and small drop in people getting onto the market?
Well, everyone's afraid to sell because they don't know where they're going, right? That would be one of the reasons. Like it's certainly something we're hearing, right?
Yep.
People have, unless you're moving to another area or had some kind of life change that requires you move to a completely different province or something, you're not moving because you don't know where
Do
you're
you
going.
do you think there's a subtle fear of people moving today? So they're breaking their mortgage today. Let's just say they locked in. Let's say they're at 3 or 4%. Do you think there's a hesitation to upsize or even downsize, knowing full well that you're going to have a mortgage in the high fives, sixes once you get into that new property?
Well, if you're downsizing, you might be able to port it. If you're upsizing, you might be able to port it. There's still that opportunity, right? So the mortgages might follow you. It is interesting right now how high the rates are, and especially short term. Like so that 1 year, 2 year are really high.
Yeah.
And that's because everybody thinks they're going to come down in 2 years. The fall of 2024, we'll see lower interest rates again.
Okay, you heard it here. Let's
Yeah,
let's do a year in
not my
review.
prediction, not mine, but I've heard it and heard it and heard it. And I mean, it follows because it's also American election time, which is traditionally a time when the rates come down to buy votes. And yeah, it's probably going to happen.
Let's see what happens. The total number of homes currently listed on the MLS system in Metro Vancouver is 9,990. So this is an 8% decrease compared to June 2022, and a 17.4% decrease, or 17.4% below the 10-year seasonal average. But since last month, listings have actually increased. So last month, May 2023, listings were just under 9,300. And that was the first month that we broke that 9,000 listing point for about 5 or 6 months before that.
Yeah.
So listings are actually up month over month, 7.5%, which is good, but it's not good enough. Like if we want to see a substantial shift in the market, we very much need like 12,000 to 15,000 listings for the market to really shift.
But it can happen really fast.
It can. Have we seen it before?
For sure. Can happen
And
overnight.
yeah.
Like it can happen really fast. So all that has to happen is there's a few more listings and a few more listings and a few more listings over a couple of weeks' time. And the listings start to pile up a tiny bit. And there are people that absolutely must sell. And then the prices start to come down. And then people who thought they were going to sell think, gee, maybe I should hurry up and sell before the prices come down anymore. And suddenly we are full of inventory. So yes, I've seen it countless
Do you
times.
think that we're kind of in that market right now where people are distracted because of summer? And I hate using season to predict market outcomes. People are distracted because of summer. They're on to other things. They're waiting for the market to drop because interest rates are high. But sellers who have to sell get on the market. Now, there might not be the amount of buyers there to absorb that. The stats are not indicating that. The stats are saying that sales are still very active. But summer, buyers could go away, inventory can pile up. So let's just say there's 1,000 listings there that don't really move over the next month. Is that enough to really shift the market?
It can, because then the next extra 250, 300 other listings come on. Those ones weren't absorbed. Now it starts to build up. Buyers start to believe, oh my gosh, there's more choice. I'll take my time. Let me slow this down. It's just happens. It's just a natural progression. So
I hear it, because a lot of my buyers that I'm working with, like, they want to get in the market. There's not a lot to see, so we're going out to see homes. And then there's the, you know what, interest rates are going to go up again prediction. Interest rates are going to go up again in July.
yeah.
Okay, but when are they coming down? Oh, 2024. Okay, what's going to happen with inventory? Not everybody.
The fall of 2024.
Right, so we're a year and a half away potentially. So there's a lot of speculation there with, I think, both sides trying to say what's going to happen, when's the best timing. And I think historically on our little YouTube show, we've always said it's time in the market.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So if you're going to be in the market 7, 8, 9, 10 years, you're going to be in the same home for, let's just say, a decade, you're going to be fine. You can refinance. If you like a house, if you like a house and you're going to grow into it and it fits you today, and it's a good purchase, we're still saying go ahead and pull the trigger.
Because houses are not that easy to just conjure up. Like if you find something you really want that meets all your criteria, that doesn't happen every day. It takes a
No.
little time.
And historically, Vancouver has traditionally been a seller's market. It's very rarely a buyer's market. Very rarely.
Different times.
Moving on, this kind of goes back to our discussion about what's going to happen with the market with creeping inventory. So we're going to look at sales to active listing ratios. And we know that anything really above 20% sales to active listing, it's a seller's market. So the market as a whole, June 2023, the sales to active listing ratio is 31.4%. If we break that down by property type, For detached homes, it's 20.9%. For townhouses, it jumps substantially to 38.5%. And for condos, it's 39.4%.
Okay.
So all segments are highly favored towards the seller. Okay. But I found that this was actually pretty interesting. If we look at the detached sales to active listing ratio, it's actually down 7.5% since last month. Okay, and if we look at townhomes and condos, those are both down. Townhouses 6.5%, condos down 6%.
Yeah.
So while we're having that subtle shift, buyers are still absorbing condos, but it's subtle and they've slowed down just ever so slightly. So if
It's all,
that continues and that continues and that continues over summer, then we see a shift in the market.
yeah, because remember, you don't know the market's changed until it already has,
Yes.
right? Like you
Yeah.
can't, nobody can predict that it's going to happen. It has to happen before, statistically, before we can say that it has. So we see it in subtle ways prior to those statistics coming out. We see more product becoming available for the buyers. We see less offers coming in on our listings that are really well priced and positioned to sell. So it's all very subtle. The signs are there slightly,
Yeah.
but then I have the one-offs where we have that lovely home and we had 14 offers. And an open house in a summer market, an open house where over 35 groups came through.
Yeah, it's definitely busy, right? It's one of those houses that gets the right amount of attention because inventory. It's all inventory. There's just not enough of it for that type of house and that price point.
Right, right.
When we're talking about inventory and houses and properties that are getting that type of attention, the days on market is an important indicator to look at. So if we're looking at days on market for the month of June, we were sitting at 9 days on market for average before a home sold. Now, I
Mhm.
think that's artificially high by a day because
The
when you put a
rescission,
listing on, well, not necessarily the rescission period, but an agent can decide if they're going to list it on Monday and take offers on Monday, that would be 7 days. Or they
right.
can list it on Monday and take offers on Wednesday because whatever reason, and then there's 8 or 9 days. If we go back throughout the past couple of years, the lowest days on market we've ever had was 8. So back in March 2021, March, April, May 2021, it was 8 days on market, and February, March, April 2022
That was 8 days on, that's a
before
fact.
being declared as sold. So 8 days from listing to sale.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we're right in that segment. And those were, especially February to April 2022, we had the lowest interest rates we've had in a long time. I'm not going to say forever, but in a long time. And then what happened in April, May, interest rates went up. So did
Mhm.
that days on market. And then we get to June 2022, people don't list their homes.
Yeah.
All right. So you can see how now it's coming full circle. So we have this pending interest rate hike in July. Do we still get 14 offers on that one detached house?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I would have said before that multiple offer that we just experienced last week, that we were already in a place where we wouldn't see that kind of crush of activity. That we had an offer the week before on something that was a reasonably nice house, 8 offers, none of them were non-subject. So it felt like the market had already shifted a tiny bit. And then again, we had this one off where it was a really nice house. Let's be honest. It was a gorgeous house, but still, that's a lot of offers. And I think 5 of them had no subjects.
Yeah, that's a lot of offers.
Yeah.
With the interest rate hike, do you think we'll see inventory decline the kind of the way that it is? Like we're down 5.5% on inventory for new listings. Sorry, we're down 5.5% on new listings. Do you think we'll still see a decline in inventory, or will that interest rate hike push people to market?
it's not going to push people to market. It'll slow down buyers, which then builds up inventory, right? So again, like, just remember, we're dealing right now with very few iffy sellers. Like, I know that I am. My listings, most of them are because somebody's divorcing, passed away, transferred to another area. Those are
So
what
they're kind of, yeah, they
those
have
are
to move.
half the sells. Like, they're going to sell. And so the iffy sort of, gee, if I got $500,000 more than my house seems to be worth, I would sell. Those guys are gone. Those sellers are non-existent right now. So it's pretty serious sellers, right? And if those serious sellers who have to sell start not to sell because of an interest rate hike, and a slowdown of the buyer's movement as a result of that interest rate hike, then those properties start to build up, and that's how we start to see more inventory.
I think you can also differentiate in segments too. I don't think that you'll see more listings on the detached side. I think a lot of people that own homes, detached homes, are an older demographic. And I think that a lot of those homes are going to be mortgage free. I read a stat the other week that 50% of homeowners in BC don't have a mortgage. Okay, so I don't think the detached segment is going to be forced to sell. I think what you're going to see is a lot of condo sales, because most investors will be buying condos. And even if they bought them 3-4 years ago, they're at a lower rate. They're going to be financing, where if they don't have about 50% down, they're going to be negative cash flow. And I think you're going to see a lot of condo listings coming.
Could be, but it also might be just fine. It just might settle itself down, and we might actually just go to, instead of too much inventory, just a balanced market. That's possible too, right?
It is very possible. It's very interesting because last month's stats, I remember ending the episode talking about sales to active listing ratios, and they were very high. They were all in like the 35s and above. And I remember saying that next month and the months coming up, prices are going to increase. We've seen some price increases, but we've also now seen a drop in sales to active listing ratios. So I am backtracking my statement.
No, but it's the pushback of, okay, you hit a price ceiling that people aren't prepared to live with.
Yeah.
And then, so they stop making a move, and they stop writing an offer, and then there are no offers, and
then inventory builds because properties sit.
or
So let's that's a lot of information, but let's end the way we normally do. If we're talking to our sellers or our would-be sellers, what is our recommendation to our would-be sellers?
the market's still really good, and if you're going to sell this year, do it.
Yeah, do it before everybody else, because you have the best chance of selling now, especially with the sales to active ratios.
Yeah, and I'm watching
the way
really
they are.
close. Yeah, we've got some listings coming up. I'm like, let's go, guys.
Yeah, it's true. I have buyers that I'm like, we're calling expired listings, we're calling canceled listings, we're trying to get in the door of stuff that's off market because the inventory just isn't coming online at the speed that we need to actually find something.
Right.
So then it goes into our buyers. If you're speaking to a buyer that wants to get into the market right now, what is your advice to them?
If you find something you like, certainly try to get it. It was interesting. Someone told me the other day, oh, I don't want to compete. Well, I don't think there's any way around that. And just because you're competing doesn't mean you're going to lose your mind. It just means you're going to try to get it along with other people, and maybe you will, maybe you won't.
I think that's a lot of information for the episode that we can leave our viewers. If anybody needs to get a hold of Patti or myself, our information is in the description below. Reach out. We'd love to talk to you about your current situation, while you're selling, buying, investing, whatever you're doing. Have a chat with us. We'll get you set on the right foot and the right path forward. Have a good day, Patti.
You too, Adam. Thanks.